Okay, I think we're good. Everyone back there? All right. Okay, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I was just thinking that maybe it's been a lot of words today, and it's after lunch. And then for those of you that are joining online, who knows what time it is where you are. So I'm going to go in the way of Jules this morning, and let's go ahead and just take a couple of deep breaths and maybe do some somatic shaking. So big inhale. If you want to make some noises, you want to shake a little bit, let yourself. It's like after lunch, you know, we can kind of all start getting a little sleepy, but let yourself get sleepy if you want to. So, oh, I see some good shaking in the back. I like it. Awesome. So, hi, I am Robyn Benelli. I am one half of the Reiki lifestyle team. I'm also in the licensed Reiki mentor teacher training program. So that's a big mouthful. I have completed some of it, but not all of it. And I am one half of the Reiki lifestyle team, as I said, with my mom, Robyn Benelli. So today, what I am here to talk about is a subject that I not only had to personally really work through, but also when I started talking about this and like my own journey with it, is a lot of people were saying, oh, that's what this is, and very helpful for them. As a practitioner, as a teacher, if you are a practitioner or a teacher, this is also something that you can encounter in your clients and your students, and it can be really helpful to have some tools, some techniques that can be helpful for them as well. And that is imposter syndrome. So when I first heard this term, I'm pretty sure I heard it on TikTok, and I was like, that is what I feel. There's like an actual term for what I was feeling when I, have come out of my Reiki master class or Karuna Reiki or whatever, all of the things, right? And it was a perfect term to sum up exactly what I was feeling. Then come to find out, I did my kind of spiritual research on it, my Reiki practice, my Reiki journeys, things like that. Then come to find out this is an actual term. I thought it was just a TikTok thing, right? I mean, I should have been a little smarter than that to actually look it up, right? But I did eventually. And so it's actually a psychological term. And so what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be talking about what it is. There are different types of imposter syndrome, different Reiki tools that we can use for the different ways that this might express within us personally, different ways that it might express in our practice. And then we're going to also do a guided meditation journey afterwards so that we can go into the energy work and listen for you, do some releasing and some bringing in. So, did that work there? Okay. We are doing this in two places today. So, what is imposter syndrome? One of the things that I did in this presentation is I actually related the term to Reiki. That makes sense. I related it to a term, but there's actually more generic and more general terms to this. So I'm going to read through this, and then I'm going to actually, and thank you, William, for handing out the magazine, because my article for this, my article's in here, and I'm going to put the actual definition. I'm going to read the actual definition that's in there. So imposter syndrome is a limiting belief in the feeling of inadequacy, self-doubt, or insecurity that can prevent you from achieving your goals. So sometimes how it looks is with clear evidence of success, such as clients helped, classes taught, personal growth. You might feel undeserving of any sort of success. Or there's some sort of freeze aspect that is keeping you from moving on into kind of the next level of where you want to go on your path. It also can block you from getting started. That's another big place that it can create blocks. I think many of us can relate to that. So that's why we're going to go through it. Maybe you can identify with some of the types of it, and then also how can we actually do the work? How can we have Reiki assist us in moving forward with it? So the generic term of it, this is, has the little footnote and everything, is that, let me make sure I have it. Imposter syndrome is a phenomenon described as self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among individuals. So it can cause you to freeze, think you are less than, and not pursue your goals and plans. So if you actually look up the definition of it, it's going to say closer to this, but I added in limiting beliefs because we're Reiki people, and those are the things that we encounter. All right, here are some common symptoms of imposter syndrome. Again, I applied these to Reiki. And when I'm talking about this, now this might be in your personal practice. I'm going to talk about it in the terms of being a practitioner and a teacher, but that might not be a path for you. And that's okay. You can absolutely still have this in ways in your personal practice. And in fact, I've had a few conversations already that saw it on the itinerary, and I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but talking about how they were experiencing this and talking to family members about it. Or let's say in your profession, in your work, you have a hard time figuring out how to talk about Reiki, or maybe there's something holding you back about it because it's such an experiential practice. So it can be completely in a personal practice, or if you work on is that better? If you work on a volunteer basis or something like that. So it doesn't always have to be from a professional point of view. So one of the symptoms is self-doubt, so always questioning if you're good enough as a practitioner or teacher. So in our Reiki practices, feeling like you don't have enough energy or spiritual insight to really help clients. So this is one of those places that when we're in a Reiki class, we can have people that share more profound, one of those profound experiences after attunement, or maybe they receive psychic impressions during sessions, and maybe that's not part of your practice yet, or maybe it won't ever be a part of your practice. We all have such different practices. And so this can actually lead to a place of like, oh, my practice isn't like that, or I'm not that kind of practitioner, therefore I can't be a practitioner, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, because we have these people out here that are doing this kind of practice, and that's not how mine looks. So that's one of the common symptoms. Discounting achievements, dismissing certifications, trainings, the results that you've helped others achieve. So the example is thinking that your master training or years of experience don't count because maybe you didn't study with a certain teacher. We actually hear that quite a bit. Or haven't been on a certain kind of trip or spiritual pilgrimage or things like that, even though you have evidence on your table, in yourself, in your family, through your volunteer work, all of the different ways that are actually contrary to that being the case. And so discounting those achievements, again, might be one of those things that is holding you back or making you feel like an imposter or making you feel like a fraud. Fear of being exposed, so worrying that others will find out you're not as spiritual, intuitive, as gifted as they think. So hesitating to share your experiences in Reiki circles in case they don't sound deep enough. As a teacher, I've definitely experienced this when we're in a circle after an attunement or an experience or something, and you have people that share the really huge experiences, and then you have the people that may not share, like, well, nothing happened for me. And when one person shares that, then, did anybody else have that? And you get a ton of hands raised, right? Because they were the brave ones to speak up, but it turns out that there was a lot of people in the circle that might not have had those big, profound experiences. And they're worried that, oh, if I didn't have that, mind-blowing kind of experience, that maybe it doesn't work as good as for me. Maybe I'm not good enough in my spiritual practice, things like that. Then on the other side of this, fear of being exposed, is this can be a place where when we are trying to explain it to maybe family members or skeptics, maybe friends, so whether that comes from the perspective of religion or that comes from the perspective of science, it can be really challenging to explain Reiki to them. And I know that we can feel like we need to know all of the information, all of the details, and sometimes that can be hard with Reiki because it's such an experiential practice. Like, oh, okay, I know that this works. It changed my life. It has profound effects on me every single day. And but how do you explain that? And luckily, thank you to the scientific research that we have, that's helping a lot because we can say, well, we have this study and this study and this study. So we're very grateful for that. But if we're new to it, sometimes that can be hard to even know that exists, first of all, or second of all, that, how can I just spout off the different scientific research papers and studies and things like that if I'm not deep into that world? things like that. I am on the right slide. Okay. So that's another place that can then cause you to kind of feel like, okay, is this real? It like makes you doubt yourself, right? It kind of makes you feel like maybe this is like, how do I do that? You might feel, again, like you're an imposter because you feel like you have to justify it. And sometimes those things, especially if you have like wounding around that, or it's really challenging in your family or your friend circles around that, that can also cause a block, a limiting belief, or some sort of freeze that creates it to make it harder to like move forward in your practice in whatever way that you're hoping to move forward in your practice. We have overworking or perfectionism, the belief that you need to keep taking classes, reading more books, or practicing endlessly before you're truly ready. Putting off, an example is putting off offering sessions because you don't feel like you don't know every symbol or technique perfectly. And Shelley, I had to laugh because you talked about the distance symbol in your past presentation. And poor distance symbol, I'm going to pick on it a little bit throughout this, but I love it. It's like maybe even my favorite symbol. I don't know if it's like having a favorite child, right? You don't have a favorite, but I really connected to the distance symbol. But I'm going to keep using it as an example, but just know that I love it. So I chuckled when you said that, Shelley. I'm going to talk more about this overworking perfectionism, so we're going to come back to that one as well. And then I would say one of the biggest places where people experience imposter syndrome is comparison to others. And I think this is one of the natural human things, but when you're first starting out as a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki teacher, it's hard to not do that. It's not hard to not go into that. It's hard to not think, why would anybody come to me when they could go to them? And the thing to know about this is that one of the things that's so great about Reiki is that we do all, because it's open to all different belief systems, there's such a diversity of the type of people that practice Reiki. And so we all have such a unique voice. We all have different backgrounds. We might have different religions. We might have different, like previous corporate lives or current corporate lives. And all of these things can be really helpful with our own unique voice. It makes you unique. It makes it a part of your strengths and a part of your beauty that's really important to your Reiki practice. Okay, this is a little harder than I expected doing the two. All right, so these thoughts, I kind of already said this, can stop you from sharing Reiki, building your business, or teaching. Okay, so this is one of the things that I didn't know when I kind of got into this journey, is that there's actually different types of imposter syndrome. And we're going to go through each one of these and in more depth, and then we're going to talk about some Reiki tools to help you move through each one in each type of these. And so we have the perfectionist. It has to be perfect or it's a failure. We might have Thank you. We might have a tendency to micromanage or struggle with decision making, delegation. There's the superhuman, always wanting to do more and more. The natural genius. Success can only come from naturally gifted people. The soloist, figuring everything out on your own. And the expert, not knowing everything denotes not knowing anything. And so you might find some connection to one of these in a major way. You might find connection into all of them or a few of them. So just know, and it's also a spectrum. We might have this on a very small level, or we might have this on a really big level. So both things can be true. All things can be true. All right, so we're going to start off with the perfectionist. It has to be perfect, or if it's a failure. You might have a tendency to micromanage. Things being perfect might create struggle in decision making because if it's not perfect, you can't do it. Also, delegation can be challenging because in delegation, what if there's mistakes being made? And it creates freeze because if it's not perfect, it can't get done. Now, with this one, this is one of those examples of a place where you might be held back if, again, that poor distance symbol, that if you don't have it exactly right, let's say you can't pronounce it exactly right, maybe you can't draw it exactly right, so therefore you don't start with Reiki sessions. Or maybe the hand positions feel a little convoluted for you. And so I was like, gosh, I don't know the hand positions exactly right, or the foundational hand positions. And so that is causing you to not necessarily like feel comfortable going out and giving sessions for others or teaching, right? If you are wanting to be a teacher, that can feel really overwhelming, and the feeling that you might need to be perfect at it in your first class is creating this block to where you don't want to teach because you know I don't have all the information exactly right. So there's this. Now this one to me has a pretty big culturally created aspect to it. So you might find that you have had familial aspects. Maybe, you know, in school, academia, there was a lot of pressure put on you to get, you know, to have perfect grades. If, let's say, you were a musician, and especially if you were classically trained, perfectionism. Also, athleticism, being an athlete. If you were any sort of competitive athlete, perfectionism, all of these things tend to be expected of us in our younger life. Then when we get into the job world, can be same thing. So this is one of those places that we can do a lot of work of releasing that culturally created self, because we can see that carry on and carry over into our Reiki practices and really just expect so much of ourselves. And that's where we can get into those blocks. So if we can allow the Reiki to come in and help to release those places, talking about inner child, becoming more playful, root chakra, and Tracy, that, you know, the authentic self, all of these places that then are going to carry into these other types too. If we can come in and allow the Reiki to help us to release that, and that's down here in this, you know, bullet of how to heal with Reiki, that can be a really big thing. And this is a process, because that can be a lot of layers, a lot of years of layers happening for us. The other place that Reiki can be really helpful is really asking Reiki to come in and empower our strengths, and also to not just even empower, but even reveal them to us. Remember our strengths. And our strengths might be we're good at A, B, and C, but really what this can be is your strengths, your inner gifts and talents. You have strengths and compassion. You have strength. Maybe your life experience has created a really big understanding with people who have gone through a certain type of scenario. Those are the kinds of gifts and talents, the kinds of strengths that Reiki comes in and empowers, and then that is going to filter out into the rest of your practice, even if that means the practical things. Okay, next, the superhuman. I saw a few shaking heads with the superhuman. So the superhuman defines pretty well in its you know, type. Yeah. Always wanting to do more and more, such as creating a million different lines to their business, or all the things all at once. You're trying to take on a lot of things. You might, another type of it or another aspect to it is you might feel stressed if you're not working, or guilty if you take breaks. So one of the places where I can see this with, and each of you are going to define these to yourself, because I know those of you that recognize this in yourself, you're like, oh yes, I do this and that and this with this. But one of the places that you might find yourself is that you might create, try to create a million different lines to your business. And actually that counterintuitively can keep you from taking steps forward. And you see this quite a bit actually when you kind of come out of like a teacher class, a master class. And, you know, it might even come out of the idea that we're just inspired by a lot of things, right? But a lot of times what is most helpful is taking one step at a time. You know, we kind of have to put one foot in front of the other with it. Also, with this is that we might take on a lot. We might have busy lives. I know for me with this one, I have a busy life. I have a kid. I coach. I am on the PTA. I have a business. It's like all of these, and those are just a few examples. I know so many of you are like, yes, and I have this and this and this, and so it can be challenging. And when we're juggling so much, and then we take on more and more and more, and we have the soloist in here of like we can do it all ourselves, which is another kind of part of the superhuman, it's like if we're trying to do everything, it makes it hard for one thing to get done. So how to really help with Reiki with this is that using Reiki for self-care and for nervous system balance. Because when you're out here, like, oh, I've got all of these things, I'm juggling all of these things. if you can come into a more grounded state, and Reiki helps us do this, and any other tools that you might use for it, it helps you bring you into here. Clarity, helping you to know where to go next, helping you to release maybe the hustle culture that has affected how you feel and who you should be and what you should be doing. If you feel like you're stressed because you take a break, or you feel guilty because you take a break, that can cause burnout. And you see that a lot. It's like, oh, if I am stressed all the time, then it can cause burnout, and then nothing gets done, right? And your practice can go into a freeze state right there as well. So those are the places that's when we come into that grounded state. We allow Reiki, we become the vessel, we become the channel, and we receive from Reiki rather than just to try to do and do and do. This is where that can really help in our nervous system. If you feel like you're always doing a lot, or you feel like you have to always do a lot, really kind of focus on this grounded state, this nervous system balance. Self-care as much as you can. When you're busy, it can be hard, so do it on the fly. Do 5 minutes of self-Reiki. Ask Reiki to come in. Stand on the earth for 5 minutes. You know, small things can add up over time. The natural genius. So success can only come from naturally gifted people is one part of this. And then I'll go through the other one as well. Oh, thank you. Yeah, there we go. The natural genius. So with this one, this is a place where if you see people who are in established spiritual practices or Reiki practices, you might think, oh gosh, they're just all so gifted, that can never be for me. And the thing to know is a couple things, because I will say this was one that I really had to work through. I'm a pretty linear person. You know, I am like a little, well, I'll just give the example. So my mom and I are business partners, right? She is a kind of a right-brained person. She's very artistic, and spiritual aspects come easy to her. And for me, coming out of like corporate America, being kind of a left-brained person, liking outlines, things like that, I always thought, oh gosh, that's not for me. I can't do that. It's not that it's not for me. I can't do that. But what I realized somewhere along the line is, first of all, that my practice just looks slightly different. My style of intuition looks different. I am intuitive. It's been a process of remembering for me because I had to do a lot of self-work around this. And also that both things are valid. So if you are a linear person, or you think, oh gosh, only naturally gifted people can do this, the other thing to know is that you can learn skills. That's how I did it. It was skills, right? It was also the healing work, again, because I think we're all born with this, but we do have to remember it within it and how it looks different for us. So just know that, and then a lot of people that you see that might have established businesses or very spiritual people, yes, some of them are born with it. Lots of people are born with natural aptitudes. So I don't mean to discount that, but also know that they might have gone through the same process, and you're only seeing them in a certain part of their journey as opposed to when it started. So again, that's a really big thing to remember. Also, one of the things of not being able to bang out your masterpiece on the first try evokes shame and can block you. So, you know, the distance symbol. Oh, I didn't get it right on the first try. Or let's say even you got it right in class, and then you get out of class and you're like, wait, how did that go again? How does that pronounced again? Things like that. And so therefore, it's actually a feeling of shame that you might have gotten it wrong. Or in the case, like let's say you have a business and you want to make your first social media post, and it doesn't go that well, or whatever, you know, or maybe you get a typo or something like that. It can actually feel like a feeling of shame, and therefore you're not going to do it again because you feel shameful about it. So one of the things about this is Reiki for patience, because Reiki is a journey, not a destination. We all have our different, beautiful, unique voices. As I've said, I'll say it again because I so believe in that. And having kind of gone through that of like finding my voice and overcoming imposter syndrome, I just think it is such an important piece that your experiences in your life, they matter for how your Reiki practice is supposed to be. So give yourself a little bit of patience. It doesn't happen all in one day. It is really a journey, and eventually you find your footing with it. Also healing comparison. I kind of talked about that, and comparing yourself to people who might have long time established practices, or maybe not. Maybe they're in the same Reiki 1 and 2 class, and there's certain things that happens for them that didn't happen for you, and so therefore you compare yourself and like, oh, they must be worthy and I'm not worthy because of that. But that's not true. That is just a part of your process, and I'll tell you, I'm so grateful for my process and that I had to go through the things that I had to go through because it taught me. It taught me a lot. Okay, the soloist. Another one that kind of explains itself. So figuring out everything on your own, feeling incompetent to ask for advice. It really is kind of a different level when you have that feeling of incompetence to ask a question of another Reiki master or a Reiki practitioner. And then having to figure everything out on your own. So I've got to do everything myself. That can also relate into that superhuman. But there is another level to this because there is a kind of a level of hyper-independence with the soloist, which hyper-independence is a coping mechanism. And so bringing in Reiki to help with that, allowing yourself also to receive, that's another place that can be really helpful for the soloist, which some of these things can be really hard for people who feel like they need to do everything on their own. But what's amazing about the Reiki community is that it really is such a beautiful community because it's pretty much an abundance mentality in the Reiki community. People are here supporting each other. There's a lot of love in this community. And so it really is such a beautiful place to start healing that within yourself. And yes, empowering collaboration, maybe with you or with somebody else, but even just collaboration within community, going to a Reiki circle or asking questions of somebody's, different resources that they might have that they provide, like let's say a live or something like that. And then celebrating your successes, remembering that, you did a great job at something. That's true for all of them, I would say. And then if you can, to delegate. That might be a little down the road, but that's okay. But it can be super helpful to healing that. And whatever that inner part of you that feels like you need to do it all on your own, because usually there's, a root of that's within safety or experiences in your life that maybe you have had to do it all on your own. And there's truth to that. But it is a place that you can feel blocked because we can't do everything on our own when it comes down to it. We do have to have people in our community, people behind us. And even if that hasn't been true for you, the Reiki community, you find that all the time within the Reiki community. Oh, I don't have anybody to share this with, but I'm able to come into a Reiki share, and that is super helpful because I'm finding my people, I'm finding my voice. Okay, and the expert. Not knowing everything denotes not knowing anything. Yeah, so not knowing something is a failure and shame. So that's a really big place where you can feel shameful. Let's say you get something kind of a little wrong in the history, right? There's a date or an order or something that you get wrong about the history, or the distance symbol, coming back to that, that can really evoke a failure, and that can evoke shame from you. So then in the future, you might feel like, oh gosh, I can't do that because I got it wrong. It gives you anxiety. There's all of these kinds of things, these feelings that can come up from feeling like you need to know everything right away, and that if we make a mistake, yikes, that makes us unworthy to be a practitioner, to be a teacher. And then the other place is pursuing every training before starting. That is something that you commonly see. It's like, oh, I'm not ready until I do this and this and this. And obviously, we have certain requirements. You have to take Reiki, 1 and 2 before you're a practitioner, Reiki master, level 3 before you're a teacher, those kinds of things. But this is more than that. This is talking about not really ever or taking a long time to feel ready because you feel like you have to take all of these different trainings to be worthy of being a practitioner or practicing on other people or being a teacher. And then struggling with procrastination because you feel overwhelmed. And again, it's because you feel like you need to know everything. I would say this one also kind of can lean into that perfectionist aspect, where you can feel overwhelmed because you need to get everything right, and you have to know it exactly how it's supposed to be. I can tell you though, this last month with our emails and blogs, we had we have weekly emails that relate to a weekly blog. And we had 3 emails that went out that the links did not work, that did not take it to the blog. And we even checked it every time, and it still was broken. And it's those things. I blame Mercury retrograde, first of all. It was during Mercury retrograde, so that's really what it is. That was the cause. And it's so funny because we had multiple people check it. And it's like, it worked this time and then didn't this time. I don't know what happened. But it's those things that it's like, okay, well, we have a long time business and things still go wrong. I wasn't a perfectionist, and I certainly wasn't an expert in those time frames. It's okay. Those are the things where, like, okay, I have to go back into my culturally created conditioning, and I have to just release it. It's okay. It was 3 emails and 3 blogs. It's not that deep, right? It's okay. So those are the places. So with healing with Reiki, finding community, I kind of already talked about that. Sharing these feelings, because you'll find that other people feel the same way, and that is always helpful. And then recognizing your successes. So in that example I just gave, well, okay, yes, but we've been wanting to send out blogs and emails, like the emails attached to the blogs, for a really long time. And we did that, right? We started only a few months ago. So I'm going to go into that. Yeah, I'm telling myself I'm going to go into that, about that success, about that achievement, because it is a goal that we've had that has finally manifested. And so if I can kind of flip the script in my mind, flip that paradigm, that helps to really heal that within me. Because in my academia life, you get those things wrong and it's an F on a test or a midterm or whatever it is, right? So you have to kind of go, it's okay, it's just an email. And then also affirmations and journaling to highlight your knowledge and achievements. And then I'm going to go into this. So here's some additional things with helping to release limiting beliefs and blocks. Empowering your authentic self. So that's the thing that I was talking about, is that each of you have an authentic voice. It is about your authentic self. Your experiences, your life is a part of that. And that's important and that's beautiful. And so using Reiki, which we know, as we talked about earlier, and people going deeper into those subjects, that this is something that Reiki does for us, and to share that voice. And I know that can be a little hard, but the fact that you're not like any other practice out there is actually your superpower. It's not a weakness. It's a beautiful thing. Chakra work, where more things might be stuck. And so when we're talking about our voice, we might think just our throat chakra. But actually, speaking of the root, it can be about safety. In your sacral chakra, it can be about your creativity. Are there blocks there? In your third eye, is it about your intuition that has blocks, places where it's stuck? So asking Reiki to come in and help either reveal those to you if that's the kind of practice that you have, or just coming in and healing what needs to be healed with it. And then helping to heal your relationship with receiving. This is a big part of a few of those types of imposter syndromes. The soloist, the superhuman, that can be a part of needing to heal that. That's a part of creation. It's the divine feminine. Receiving is really important. And so many of us are overgivers that can also start to create blocks within this that come into those 5 types of imposter syndrome. Also, on a very practical aspect of that, receiving money for services is another place that healing your relationship with receiving can be very helpful with that, because it's an energy exchange, right? So helping with receiving is, ask that Reiki, come in. And that's a big journey and an ongoing journey, I think. Embracing the thing that is Reiki and your practice, that it's okay to change. Sometimes when we have a philosophy in our practice, or certain practice that we use in the beginning, or maybe things that we put on social media or newsletters in the beginning of our practice are probably going to be different than who we are a couple years down the road, 10 years down the road, and that's okay. That's beautiful. It doesn't make the things that you said or did invalid unless you feel like it did, but that's a different story. It doesn't make that wrong, and it shouldn't stop you from changing your voice shouldn't stop you from growing in your voice, and it shouldn't stop you from, empowering your voice in this new version of you, because that's the reason we're here, right? We're here to empower these new and new versions of ourselves, or that remembering of the authentic versions of ourselves. Mentorship and a supportive community, somebody that you can ask questions of if you can, supportive community where you can go and give and receive Reiki, because in number 5, self-care, Reiki sessions from others, those kinds of things can be really helpful for us. We can't always do it on our own, so that outside perspective can be really helpful for us. So the supportive community. Setting realistic expectations. So you might see really established businesses, that comes down to that comparison, and think, oh, I'm not like that. Established businesses have had a long time to do the things that they do. Everybody started in one place. Or if that's your personal practice, it's the same thing, right? You might see really, long-time Reiki practitioners or spiritual people, and that's not where they started, and it's not where we're each going to start. And so just know that consistency over time produces results. And then I talked about the self-care, and again, that groundedness is really important in our clarity. It's really important in helping us also to release these things so that we can start, so we can, move through the fear and take that step, take that leap into where we want our practices to go to achieve our dreams, our goals, or just even our own personal growth. Authenticity and vulnerability in Reiki, this is to remember this, is also a strength. So this is why I talk about imposter syndrome and why I talk a little bit about my journey. It's a lot more involved than that, of course. I don't have time for that. Nobody's got time for that. And so I've had this journey too. But the thing to know is that in this curated social media world that we live in, which, no judgment on that. Love the curated things too. But for me, I crave the authenticity within people. I crave the vulnerability within people, sharing their stories, sharing their journeys, sharing how they've overcome things, sharing how they've moved through things, sharing how Reiki has helped them, so maybe I can apply that to my practice. And so that, for me, is, it's such a beautiful strength. And that is another thing about overcoming imposter syndrome. Maybe there are things that you're working through, and that's what you need to talk about in that moment. And it's okay that you share your vulnerability or your authenticity, that you got 3 blogs and news, and that's on the small version, right? That you've got 3 blogs wrong, or whatever, links wrong. And then the last one is embrace your cringe. So overcoming imposter syndrome, many people extrapolate this to social media, posting that first post. I still die about the things. I have a long time podcast, and YouTube's it, and don't let me go back and listen to the first ones. I just cringe. Even ones from it's cringe, right? And most of us think that we're cringe, and if you don't think that you're cringe, I love you so much. You are the best. But for me, I find myself so cringe, and I think so many people relate to that. But one of the things that I learned along the way is to just embrace it. It's okay. I'm going to feel like I'm cringe. I'm going to die going back and looking at something that's from years ago. I think so many people talk about this now when they go back and look at their old Facebook posts, and they're like, oh my God. So just know that that's very normal, and try as much as you can to embrace it, because sometimes that is what's stopping us, because we might feel like that imposter and we can't post because we don't know enough, or if we do post, we're not going to post again because, oh my God, it was so cringy. So embrace your cringe. Reiki can help you with that too, just so you know. Call it in and ask it to help you with that. And the biggest thing to remember, I've talked about this, is that your people are waiting for you. They're waiting for your voice. Your voice is important in the space. All you need to do is speak up. So whether that's on a personal level, whether that's on a professional level, they're out there, and they're just waiting for you to hear you. So, and I like this last line, the key is to start, practice, and grow. All right, so here's my contact information. I do want to get into the journey. I'm going to make it somewhat short, or the meditation. You can find me, pretty much everything is at ReikiLifestyle.com. So Insta is at Reiki Lifestyle official. You can email me, website, all the things. So I should have done the QR code that Jules did earlier. That was smart. Okay, so do you want to put up a photo or something or turn off the projector for the journey? Yeah, whatever it looks. I don't want this on here for the journey. That's too much. Speaking of cringe. All right, so while Arthur's doing that, you guys can go ahead and get comfortable. It's not going to be that long, maybe about 10 minutes or so. Now, there is a prompt for some writing if you want to do that within it. You don't have to. You can just be in your own inner experience. It's going to say, if you want to write down any words or gifts and talents about yourself. So you can pull out your journals if you would like to, or just be in your experience and retain that information. Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes. And I know I've been talking really fast. So go ahead and just take some deep breaths. And place your hands in Gasho and activate Reiki and your symbols in between your palms. And just allow the busyness of this presentation to fall away. Bring yourself right here, right now, into this moment in time. And any other ways that you want to activate Reiki for you, go ahead and do so now. Whether that's drawing the symbols on your hands or thanking them or saying them, or just Reiki on. And breathe. And place your hands comfortably on your body now. And give yourself Reiki. The light of Reiki surrounds you. And as you breathe in, you breathe in the light. It begins to fill you. It flows through your hands and fills you. And as you breathe out, continue to go deeper and deeper into you, and deeper into the Reiki energy. Call in the enlightened ones you work with, any guides or allies, the ascended masters, the angels, the divine animal kingdom. They stand in a circle around you and they shine their unconditional love onto you and into your heart. Open your heart and receive. Imagine it's a beautiful day. It's warm and sunny and the light is shining all around you. And the beauty of the earth fills you with every breath. Up ahead is a beautiful bridge of light. And you decide that you would like to cross over the bridge. And so you step onto the bridge and you can hear the song of the enlightened realms calling as it starts to vibrate within you. And on the bridge, you start to walk through the colors. And they fill you with the colors of creation, and they fill your chakras, the vibrant colors. And so you walk through the color of red, and as you continue through the colors, you're walking further and further over the bridge and into orange fills you with the color of yellow and of green. And you look over the side of the bridge and you can see the river of light flowing down from the sacred mountains in the distance. And the effervescent mist of the river flows up into your breath and fills your body. As you continue on your journey into the color of blue, the sound of the song of creation continuing to fill you deeper and deeper, and into the indigo and the violet. And you step off the other side of the bridge to the most extraordinary place. You find yourself in the enlightened realms, the third heaven, the third level of consciousness. And all there is love here. Now imagine that you're following along a path. Beautiful, gentle forest path. Sacred place created by Reiki, where you're safe and supported and deeply loved. The air is fresh, the trees lean in with kindness and support, and that those deep roots go into the ground, are stable. And as you continue to walk, you notice that you're carrying a satchel over your shoulder. It actually feels heavy. And this satchel is representing some of the blocks and limiting beliefs that might be weighing you down. The doubts, the comparisons, the fear of not being enough. And so you pause for a moment as you allow Reiki to show you what might be in this satchel, what you're ready to let go of. Anything, words or memories or old voices that have told you that your gifts don't matter. Maybe pressures that you put on yourself. Anything in this lifetime or past lifetime, familial or ancestral history. Maybe you see comparisons to others or fears that your voice won't be heard. And so take a moment now and listen. What are you ready to let go of? So take a breath, and on the exhale, place this satchel on the ground, and along with it, maybe any cords or connectors. And notice that a soft golden light appears, and it's flowing from the earth and surrounding the satchel and surrounding these cords and connectors and anything else that might come up that you're ready to let go of. As it flows into the light of Reiki, is transmuting it, is hearing it, is loving it, nurturing it, and sending it into the light where it's to be heard and healed. They don't belong to you. You no longer need to carry them. So notice now, feel lighter, a space that is opened up, within you. And when you let go, it just gives room for things to bring in the new. Space for your gifts to shine. And so you continue along the path and you come to a beautiful clearing in the path. And in this center is a glowing pool of light. This is the wellspring of you, of your voice, of your words, of your practice, your gifts and your talents and what you offer to the world. Your truth and beauty and joy and love and compassion and your authentic self. So step forward and place your hands on your throat and on your heart. Feel the flow of Reiki through them. And allow the light from the pool to rise up through you, from the bottoms of your feet, into your whole body, all of your chakras, into your heart, filling it with truth and love, flowing upward into your throat, and all the way up to your third eye and through the top of your head. As you feel this light filling you with the confidence to speak about your gifts, the confidence to know your gifts. As you feel the joy of the words flow easily and naturally, carrying Reiki's wisdom. As you take a moment to listen, and if you want, you can write some things down, or you can just be in your inner experience. What are some words that describe you, describe your gifts and talents? What are some things that you want to that you want to bring in today? Just allow Reiki to guide this without evaluating. What are your gifts and talents? So know that you can continue here or come back here at any point. This place is always here for you, and we ask that these insights continue to come in for you. And so you follow the path back to the bridge of light. These gifts and talents revealing within you. These empowering words revealing within you are you. Part of your practice, whether it's personal or professional or where you want it to go. It's the beauty of you and your unique voice. And so you step back onto the bridge and you walk back through the colors, purple or indigo, violet, indigo, blue and green, and yellow and orange and red, and back here into the physical realm. As you say thank you to you. And as you take a moment now with all of this in mind, you can listen or write it down. What is your next step? And so we say thank you to those enlightened ones that are here for us, helping us to remember this within us. We say thank you to Reiki and those teachers and ancestors that have come before, brought us these ways, and to the descendants who will carry them forward. We are honored to be in the lineage of light bringers. And so when you're ready, you can come fully back in and into the room and gently open your eyes. Thank you, and so it is. Right. Well, I know some of you are still writing or in your experience, and you can continue to do so. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and we have a few minutes for some questions, if anybody has any questions or shares. And then, of course, I'm around, so if anybody has any questions outside of this presentation or shares, I'd love to hear them. I know it's hard to come back in from a meditation and go immediately into questions.
Is the journey that you just did available? I know you have some journeys on your website that are downloadable. Is this one of them? That was really beautiful.
This isn't one of them, but it will be in the recordings, right? Everybody receives a recording? Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'll be in the recording.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you. Yeah, I would have spent more time in it, but I talked too much, so it had to be a little shorter than what I was planning. Shocker. Oh, thank you. So yeah, when you receive the recordings, then you could even maybe pause in the silences for a little longer if you wanted to receive more. All right. Oh, nope, just stretching. We're good. Okay, well, I think then we are good. We'll go ahead and take a break. And William's presentation is next. Is that at 3:45? 4. Oh, okay, so we have a little bit of a break. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.